Hello to all my booty seekers and cheek chasers. This is the Carpe Natem Podcast. I'm your host, Nate De La Hoya-Reynoso, and I am so grateful you are listening to this episode. If you're new here, you should know that I believe that my purpose is to uplift, inspire, and educate others to communicate masterfully so that they can better understand themselves and the world around them. I've spent years in the personal development and transformational technology space, and I want to share with you the wisdom that was passed down to me from giants in the industry. So if you're on a journey of self-mastery, just like me, looking to make dreams a reality and willing to be a leader for your family and community, then join me in seizing the butt cheeks of life and giving them a big ol' squeeze. Let's jump into the show. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Carpe Natem Podcast. I'm with a legendary man in Austin, Mr. Derek Dimpfl. He hosts a show on Wednesday nights at Poor Choices. He's also the host and promoter of the Mike Minute to Win It on Tuesdays. Mondays nights also, at Poor Choices. And he's about to tell us all about what he's up to in the scene and some other cool little insights about who Derek Dimpfl is. Brother, welcome.
Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for welcoming me. I'm having a great time so far. Booty seekers and cheek chasers.
Yeah.
What's up, booty seekers and cheek chasers of the world?
I love that in my intro. Do you know why my show's called Carpe Natem?
Go ahead. All right. No, yeah. Bring it on.
So it's because I think it's funny that Carpe diem is seize the day.
Right.
Carpe noctem is seize the night. And Carpe natem, or as I pronounce it, Carpe natem, is seize the butt cheeks.
Really? So natem are butt cheeks in Latin.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think it's funny that like some people are like, you have to grab
Nate
life.
Would be a butt cheek.
A natum is apparently a butt cheek.
A natum.
Or that's how it's pronounced. That's how it's pronounced properly.
So we can't manipulate this to call our friends named Nate assholes.
You could eventually, like every person you know named Nate
would be a butt cheek if natum are butt cheeks.
Exactly.
Okay, but you said natus.
Natum.
Not natum.
Yeah. So
no. Like, what's the singular form?
I think that is a singular form.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, so carpe natem is seize the ass cheek.
Yeah, and so a lot of people say like grab life by the balls.
Yeah,
but not everyone has balls, but everyone's got an ass cheek.
Everyone's got an ass cheek.
So you can always grab life by the ass.
One sexy ass peach you have floating up there.
Thank you. I appreciate the compliment.
Yeah, I mean, if somebody happens to be looking at their computer screen while we're talking about this, you'll recognize just how juicy that peach is as an ass.
It is. It's a great reference. It's immediately recognizable.
Yeah, dude. Okay, cool. So, but why booty chasers and booty seekers and cheek chasers?
Yeah, I wanted to write something silly for my intro, and I noticed that some people have like names for the people that listen to them. So I think it's funny that people are like booty seekers, cheek chasers. There's a level of humor
like
that
what we're trying to do right now is reach the community of booty seekers and cheek chasers, whoever they may be,
who want to grab the butt of life.
Right. And so if a person who listens to this for the first time really resonates with that idea of being a booty seeker and a cheek chaser, I'm going to grab life by the ass cheeks.
I was for sure for years, like as a young teen, as a young adult,
like that.
You know, always constantly chasing after it. And I feel like people, if you went at the same tenacity at life and projects that you're passionate about with the same tenacity as you try and chase a lover or try to chase a partner, you would crush and dominate. But we allocate our energy differently, and sometimes maybe not to the best resources.
Dude, that's a cool idea and a cool philosophy. Although I'm thinking that I've probably spent my life doing it the other way around, like chasing my career-oriented goals a lot more so than a lever or something.
Which is great. You do have a passion and a drive for the thing that you do. You're actually one of the only people that are doing kind of mic postings in a way that's informational, and you have sections of where you say this is the way you can get the most amount of stage time. Like you have it down to a science.
Yeah. Well, at least that's what I was attempting to do. For those of you who've never seen me, which is probably everybody in the whole world, but for those of you, I dress like a professor.
He does, and he wears it well. And sometimes you can catch him with like a cigar in hand.
Yeah, last night, for instance. Yeah, we were hanging out of the creek in the cave, and I smoked a cigar. It's just like you do.
Like you do. Like it's just a normal thing. And it is a normal thing for you. It just like if any other person I saw smoking a cigar, I'd be like, who's this guy? But seeing you do it, it's like it matches your style.
Yeah, well, I prefer smoking a cigar to hitting a vape or smoking a cigarette or anything like that. I really like smoking a cigar.
What made you decide to start putting up mic postings?
Well, it was actually a product of getting organized about going to open mics myself.
Smart.
So yeah, and I put in all this effort to organize when and where the open mics were on a weekly basis for myself. And like, well, a lot of other people would benefit from this information. And so if I can share it with them effectively and like find the people who are interested in that and communicate with them, and that's pretty easy because that's just your social group at the open mics that you go to.
Sure.
It's just the other comics that you meet, and you, as a matter of course, exchange contact information. And so when I would share, then I would share my open mic listings and spreadsheets, and people would be able to get that information that way through my Instagram. Mm-hmm. And so that's how that started.
It's a nice public service, man. I think it's very helpful for the community, and it's really cool that you took it upon yourself to do something so amazing that's so helpful for people.
Thanks, Nate. That's a really kind compliment, and I appreciate that.
Tell me about your Minute to Win It mic. What's the premise of the mic? Yeah,
well, the premise of this mic is that at the weekly live podcast recording Kill Tony, which is filmed here in Austin a couple weeks before it airs. At that event, there are all these comedians who are waiting to perform a minute of comedy in front of a live audience in order to then be judged on how good a comedian or how good a person they are. And so all these comics don't get the opportunity to get on that show, which could be a big deal for them and is like a big experience for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. When they don't get the opportunity to do that, they will at least have the opportunity to perform their minute of comedy in front of a live audience prior to that. And that can be really helpful for people who are non-delusional about the kind of comedy they're doing.
You know what? That's actually really legit because I've gone many times. I've never gone picked for Kill Tony. Yeah. I'm waiting for my turn. Yeah. I don't know what to do with that minute afterwards because there's not that many places that I can do it. So you know what? I'm going to add that to my Monday shows when I go to Kill Tony. And if I don't get on, I'm going to go to your mic because I don't get the chance to perform a minute of comedy.
Yeah.
And do you let them only perform 1 minute, or do you let them?
1 minute. So the whole point of that, Mike, I probably could have answered this much more briefly this way, but I seem to be taking new avenues of thought today. Probably, are we allowed to talk about what we smoked?
We are both having a good time doing legal things. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Whatever we smoked today was totally great to smoke today,
it was
and
absolutely
fine.
Legal.
Yeah, 100%. Everything we smoked is 100% legal.
Oh God,
right. It's one of those things where it's silly.
Yeah,
it's very,
far
very silly.
No. I got it.
Yeah, I'm actually a big fan of plant medicine, and I'll put it out there.
Why? I just find it. Yeah, I find I might be answering questions in a different way than I usually do because those kind of psychotropic medications,
right?
Like they
and cannabis really is psychotropic, especially at high doses.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I love plant medicine
because it builds new pathways, new neural pathways in your brain. That's what I hear.
It definitely can, especially when you do something like psychedelics.
Yeah, but
specifically
that's also
mushrooms
consistent
or
with
acid.
my experience with it, because what it does is my usually active mind is just kind of thinking about the experience that I'm having as I'm having it, and what this does is it makes the experience a lot richer and faster. So I'm aware of all these little connections being made in my brain.
Does it make you almost go third person?
No. I'm not any kind of like NPC over here.
Yeah, wouldn't it suck if you found out that you were just like an NPC the whole time? Like,
Oh yeah, an NPC in someone else's simulation. Well, that's kind of a dumbass idea because because you can always have such an amazingly rich experience of life
as a simulation,
no matter what your financial situation is or
For
whatever.
sure.
Yeah. Or I guess I made an accidental connection between the types of people who espouse the NPC theory and how maybe disgruntled they are with hypercapitalism. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Elaborate.
Oh yeah. Oh. It's just not particularly important. It's like there's super rich people and there's super poor people. And
Do you think happiness is tied to money?
happiness is tied to money. No, but money is extremely useful.
Yeah, it's a tool.
So yeah, I mean, and if you have more money than you need by a wide margin or by like a factor of 10, then then I think you approach life a lot differently. That you're not thinking in terms of what it is that you need, but rather it's something that's the kind of thing that could open someone up creatively who's already really focused on creativity, but also has to say like run themselves ragged waiting tables at a day job.
Yeah, there's one thing about meeting Maslow's hierarchy of needs where we have these external things taken care of, like we have our basic needs met, and then that is a different level than having like all of your needs met plus surplus, because when you get to a point of like actual freedom where you don't really have to work or be scared that if money doesn't come in, everything around you is going to crumble.
Right. And right now I'm probably living on level 3. Like that's probably usually where I'm living.
That's fair. But your goal is to eventually get to a better place, and it takes time to always develop our skills to get better.
Yeah, absolutely.
And climbing the ladder.
You also need to take responsibility for the fulfillment of those things yourself. I mean, that's pretty kind of like obviously what our society is predicated upon.
So something that I believe, and you could tell me if you agree with this or not.
Yeah.
I genuinely believe like it's not really the amount of money that you have, but with the happiness that you have it within you begins within you. And it's not a matter of like, I'll be happy when, because you can choose to be happy now. But a lot of people look at life as like, I will be happy later once I already have it. But you can just be happy now.
Right. Try like learn to enjoy experiencing the moment.
Exactly. Yeah. And whatever happens just is. So even in places or moments of like bombing, for example, you could learn to love bombing and failing because you know that you grow from it. You know that you get better from it.
Yeah.
Instead of hating it or rage quitting.
Although I would say that learning to love bombing should only be a sensation that you connect with the experience of pleasure, so long as you're certain that you're able to consistently derive an understanding of why you bombed from your experiences and learn from them. Because if you're just attaching a sensation of pleasure with the sensation of bombing, then you'll wind up becoming one of these people that just sucks the oxygen out of the room for 4 minutes and shuffles their feet up there and has no fucking thing to say and walks the entire room.
Yeah, that's a form of masochism in a weird way. Like, it's torture. Because being...
I did not expect myself to be so passionately descriptive of these people that I'm...
So these people that you have such passion for, you've seen them at mics and they just love bombing because they get a sense of feeling from it. It's almost like a tickle.
Yeah. Well, I was more joking about the existence of these people because that's a narrative that you could project on someone who's just been doing consistently badly, or just one of those people who are at the mics and you're like, why are you doing it? But even though your thought of why are you doing it is like could actually just be turned into curiosity about that person's life and get to know them better. But the point is, like, it was just basically a joke about like what an open mic comic could become if they're just delusionally terrible.
What I find kind of interesting in talking and becoming friends with comics, the comics that I think are really funny, I think are just amazing, and I know that they're doing shows and they're killing it.
Yeah.
They have this perception of themselves of like, I'm not good enough, and they're constantly hungry and driven.
Yeah.
And then there's these comics that I meet who are terrible, and they have this arrogance about them, like I'm the shit, I'm the best. And it's interesting to see like the difference in that, because the talent is high but the self-esteem is low.
Open mic comedy is such a silly thing to have that feeling about I'm the best. It's such a narrow niche in the culture that even if you were the best at it, which if you have that attitude you almost certainly are not, if you were the best at it, it would not be something to boast about. That's why I was sort of bashful earlier with my credits, that I was like, honestly, like if you're introducing me for the podcast, it's in an honest way. It's just like that we're a couple of guys who know each other, and like sure, yeah, I might be running some shows, but it's not that's not the kind of thing that. Yeah, it's weird. It's like I just don't think of it as the social status symbol.
To that I say, I hope you'd be open to consider a new idea and a new frame of mind.
Yeah. What's your thought?
Where those are things that you do and there is truth to them, because you are the host of a show and you do put on a mic and you do.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah.
So you saying that is not in the sense of boasting, but telling truth and holding your power.
Oh, okay. Oh, just like saying these are the things that I do with my time.
Right.
Yeah.
So I guess what really makes a difference is like the intention behind it. Are you telling somebody that you do these things because you want them to like you, or when somebody says like, hey, what are you into? What do you do? You're saying like, these are the things that I do. These are the things that I put my energy behind, and you can be proud of that.
Well, I started doing them in order to help other people,
which is even more beautiful.
Not to make other people like me. It's like I actually don't particularly. I don't mind if you go and just thoroughly dislike me as a person, but so long as I can say give you some stage time to practice your Kill Tony minute before you go to Kill Tony. If I can do that for you, I'm happy. Or if you thoroughly dislike me just for whatever reason that I don't know, but you get the open mic spreadsheet information, I'm glad that you did, because you deserve that information too.
And I really love that mindset. You're looking to help, and that's your only intention, is to be good and to put good out in the world. So to tell
I hope so. I probably have a shadow side in that.
Sure.
Yeah. Like it's definitely not just to be helpful.
100%. But the overall is for the good.
Yeah, but the way that you have characterized it is very flattering, and that's very kind.
No worries. And I think it's true. And you're right, because like I do comedy because I want to make people laugh and because I want to be creative, but I'm really seeking external validation. I love external validation.
Oh, sure. I'm
such a fan.
Those tickles feel real nice.
Right. So part of it is selfish, because I want people to praise me and I want people to say nice things about me and I want people to be like, oh, that's funny. But then I'm doing it in a way that is allowing me to use creativity. And then I also get to, like I said, make people laugh and bring smiles to people's faces. And that's better than bringing pain to somebody.
Oh, I agree. Yeah. And I was even thinking about this in terms of like improvements in my mental health, and I don't know if there have been any improvements in my physical health since experiencing this, but getting on stage 6 nights a week and on a consistent basis entering into something where a lot of people's attention is on me, but if my goal is that people would be having a good experience and a good time around me, because that's exactly the kind of feeling that I'm trying to generate within myself before I get on stage. And the idea is to be a person who enters the room in order to set that as the mood and and make that the ambiance in other people. Because if people's attention are collectively on you, whatever mood you bring to the table is going to be physiologically mirrored in people.
Absolutely.
So if I have some kind of feeling inside of me which is good, and then I'm getting in a situation where people are putting their attention and their consciousness in my frame of reference, that that because of how we work biologically as organisms, that everyone else's physiology is going to start in different ways,
Becoming
some more
affected.
extreme and some more subtle. They'll physiologically mirror me, so they'll start having the feelings inside of them that I'm having inside of me. And so if you can generate an experience like that, along with your communication and how you communicate towards people in a way that's trying to get them to just laugh and have a good time, the combination of that physiological mirroring with actually having really hilarious jokes is something that can really work people up into like a really dramatic and amazingly fun state.
Yeah, and you can truly influence a room. Like by getting them all on your side, you can leave an impression on a room. You can leave them and they all feel like, man, I feel really good after hearing that comic. I'm really glad that I did that. I'm really glad that I left my house. And I feel like because of what has happened in the last 2 years with the pandemic, with the isolationism, people are looking for that sense of community, that laugh, that release, and comedians are the way of doing it.
Yeah, that part of the equation may be stronger than it ordinarily is because of the pandemic. But everyone really just wants connection with other people.
I think so too, and we can't all get love like Cinnabon gives love to you. She's the chillest dog.
Yeah, I'm having the time of my life cuddling with this dog right now. Yeah, she's asleep on my lap, and it's super cute.
I love it. She's just enjoying her time so much.
Yeah, we're really good friends, she and I right here.
With all the things that you kind of have your fingers dipped into, how do you really maintain balance and like a discipline for all the activities that you do, including, your writing and your process for joke writing?
A balance in the different disciplines that are required in comedy.
For you, like, how do you? I know you're constantly at mics. You're joke writing. You're trying new things. You're doing a bunch of different stuff. You're very active. Do you have a method to your madness?
Yeah, basically. Well, there are a few different indicators to tell if I'm trying to do too much. And basically, mostly it's just getting in touch with my body and seeing how my body feels. And if my body is tired on a consistent basis, then I realize that I've been running around too much and that it's probably important to take a night off here or there, or just lighten your nights. You could just hit 3 mics instead of 5, you crazy animal.
Right. Because that's very impressive that you get into so many mics. Like, I almost see you at almost every mic that I'm at.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
And it's a good hustle. You got a good work ethic.
Thank you. Yeah, so when it comes to that, probably the area that suffers or that's more lacking or is not as large as it could be, like what I'm not investing my time into to the point of diminishing returns, is probably joke writing and writing more material. So that's what I'm. That's basically the limiting reagent. Yeah, in chemistry terms, that's the thing. That's
I know we talked right before the podcast that you also kind of read and you do a couple of things. Is there any quote that you live by or anything that you constantly reference that you draw inspiration from?
I'll say a quote that I draw inspiration from. So lately I've been rereading the Harry Potter books, and I think it was Sirius Black said that Hermione had a better grasp of a situation than it was either Ron or Harry, because, and this is the significant part, the measure of a... I could have just cut out that was all just wasted time right there. That was so stupid. Oh my god!
I like that. I was into the story, and then right at the right at
the point when I was about to tell you the part that
you
mattered,
just completely dip out.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's an observation. It's like if I had just started with the
quote itself.
Quote.
What is the quote? I need to know.
Okay, all right. So I kind of fantasized that we were going to delete this portion, but no. What it is that the way a person treats their inferiors is much more significant of their character than how they treat their equals.
Interesting. Yeah, that's a hardcore quote.
Yeah, it's really good. And actually, as a matter of fact, because I've been carrying it around in my brain, just like in the front of my consciousness for a while, that it's been causing me to treat people who are like, maybe you'd say, my lessers or lower status people, and that's such a like mysterious thing. Like, how can you tell what that is? But I've been thinking in my interactions with people that you might consider.
Lower status.
Yeah,
this is similar to how
just to be really nice,
right? And I know you're not meaning lower by like I know what you mean by it, but some people would say,
or even just like
wait staff, homeless people, service industry people.
Yeah, but I was thinking about like maybe people like who are in the comedy scene, who who's kind of like anyone who feels like they
newer, not good.
Sure. Yeah, or they're just like trying to start a conversation with me. It's just very important to be very polite
to
and
everyone.
Nice.
Yeah. No, I understand that.
Yeah, but you're also right about that, like with wait staff, door staff, yeah, absolutely.
Be nice to everyone.
Yeah,
right?
because, if they're there to help you, why don't you want to make them feel as disposed to help you as possible?
Right. And I like that way of thinking, and that's been, to call someone an inferior is like already a set, but how you treat anybody, it doesn't matter like how you treat your equals, but treating people who are maybe lesser than. But I can see where that comes from, because they were probably talking about like Draco's family and how like evil they were with each other, and it didn't matter how good he was to the other people in his family. He treated Dobby like shit. Yeah,
I mean, well, Dobby was very ill-treated, although, like I think what the issue in the Malfoy family is just that kind of standard neglect that can come with with a lot of wealth, because wealth requires attention and management. Most of the evidence in the Malfoy family acting towards each other is actually that they're strong bonds of love, and they are always they
defend each other.
Yeah, and the biggest risks that they take are to protect their family, even if in a moment by moment thing like Lucius might talk in a sneering way about his son, like he might express that because he's constantly trying to teach him these small lessons about how he perceives that you have to be in life.
Yeah. It's a really good commentary on like parenting,
right?
And the different styles of it.
But the bigger risks that they take are to protect each other. So they might treat each other poorly in the microtransactions, but in the macro picture, they really love each other.
Yeah. It's a very interesting, unique way of looking at it.
Yeah, it's actually pretty. It's a pretty uncomfortable and fucked up way of living, and but I think it's pretty common in wealthy families. From my connection with wealthy families, and that part of my family is almost on that level of wealth.
A really good book I would recommend to kind of look into that is Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. They talk about how wealth gained without the knowledge it takes to obtain it.
Oh, right, and maintain it.
Yeah. Causes failure and crashes. That's why the sons of kings always lose the kingdom.
Sure, yeah. Because dad didn't spend enough time with his boy and spent too much time with his advisors.
Exactly. But he was running a kingdom, so to then pass that to a son is so much difficult. It's so much more difficult because the son didn't go through the war that built the walls.
But I think that actually is an illustration of something I've been thinking about recently, like how important it is for a society and a nation and a government to invest properly in its children. That's the biggest investment. People who come out of the soil of your land, who are living out of that land's soil, should be the most important, the most important people in your society's eyes, because they are literally the future. That's what your entire society's investment is actually in those people. Because yes, you'll have a certain amount of immigration, but don't be lazy and invest in your children.
Yeah, absolutely. The more time that you get to spend with them, the more they're able to sharpen their skills and the way they're able to like just overall improve our children's future.
Yeah.
And we have to start by improving the children themselves.
If you put so much money in education that the children are being properly treated because the people who work in the education system are being properly treated, and there isn't graft. Yeah, but so the thing is, like, you actually have to have a certain amount of corruption in government. It's just that there's a certain quotient of humanity that, there's a certain amount of that.
You can never have 0%.
But
you can be ethical as much as you can be one.
Yeah, but I'm saying it's like the question is like how to minimize that. But no, you can if you invest a lot more in education.
Do you think the reason that they don't do it is so that way
properly treated?
Do you think the reason that they don't invest as much in education is so that the population is just easier to control, manipulate, get aroused with anger?
Possibly.
Or do you genuinely think it's a lack of funding?
I don't know if there's any kind of. I think because America became so, so rich so quickly.
Yes.
By such good fortune multiple times, that the people here who just have all the conveniences of the modern world have no appreciation for what they really have and have gotten lazy.
There's that.
Well, actually, that sounds so, like, if I think that sounds so condescending.
But there is some truth to it. I mean, it's a criticism, but it's an accurate criticism.
Well, but and I'm thinking of I'm thinking of the nation as a whole in the same way that you think of like a lottery winner on an individual scale. A lot of people who win the lottery, at least it's my perception, I might be making this up, but they just kind of become like no work anymore, just constant vacation time stuff. Like, I'm going to a resort instead of like,
exactly.
Oh wow, this will be a really cool opportunity to study that, to study like print art I was so interested in 10 years ago.
There is truth to that. There are people who studies have shown that win the lottery and in 5 years they go back
lazy.
to be poor because they ended up like spending all their money. The money ran out.
Right.
They bought above their means because when somebody gets more money, what's the first thing that they do? They raise the amount of money that they spend. Right. They get a better car. They get a better house.
So that's what I'm saying. It's like when it's like I'm thinking of the nation as that is like that. There's an attitude on like. As we, in the same way there's an attitude like in an organism that wins the lottery, it's like, okay, yeah, then you fall apart because you don't know what to do with it. I think that like in the way that we as individuals in the country constitute the cells of the national organism, that we experience that. And so there's a sort of a feeling of irresponsibility, like in general, laziness when it comes to education, at least.
What would you say to somebody who's maybe brand new into the scene and wants to like make a name for himself? Like he's in his first month of comedy. What advice would you give to that person as someone who's now had a couple of a good time in the comedy?
Shifting gears here. Cool. What piece of advice would I give to somebody?
Yeah, as somebody who's been around for a bit. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think I would need a more specific question because what they're trying to... So
we can imagine a scenario where we have some guy, let's name him Brian, right? He is new to the comedy. He's done maybe 2 or 3 open mics. Yeah. He wants advice on like what he needs to do to have longevity. He's just very determined.
Okay, yeah.
What older brotherly advice would you give to this young man?
Absolutely. I'd say that, because you're going into a broad spectrum of people, find the people who connect most easily and most genuinely with you and that you enjoy being around. Make a point to become friends with those people. So have good relationships with the people around you and have certain people that you know that you can trust. And then also be willing to be critical of yourself. Be open to how others are how others are critical of you, and hopefully that's always in ways that you want to hear it. But, if it isn't, that's a separate issue. You can figure that out. And basically, do your best to get an idea of how you're doing and be open to criticism, and also have a critical attitude of yourself and realize where you might need to change things and keep going. It's because it's difficult, but if you want to do it, you can do it.
React and adapt and adjust.
Yeah. Well, basically what I'm saying is like, go into it with enthusiasm, but don't be crazy. Don't be delusional. That's the worst thing you could be.
Be humble.
Yeah.
Enough to understand where you can improve.
Yeah. Because there's a certain amount of delusion that goes into the community of open mic comedians, because it's people like dream fulfillment is what we're all in pursuit of in some sense.
Yes.
And when it comes to that, sometimes dreams are unrealistic, but God bless every one of them.
100%. And on that note, I think we should end that. I think that's a beautiful note to end on.
Hell yeah.
Derek,
that was great.
Thank you so much for being a guest on this episode. Where can the people find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at DerekDimpfl. There I'm on Instagram, and that's basically it.
Cool.
That's the place.
The link in the bio will take you to your comic map where you're
exactly.
Your
I have
list.
a link tree where I have where we have the open mic spreadsheet, but we also have sales for upcoming show, like ticket sales for upcoming shows. And I also have a little link to my Minute to Win It mic. And then what's the last piece? There's
your Wednesday show. So then
ticket sales for the Wednesday show. That's the first one. It's like so
that's where they can find you. Perfect.
Yeah. All the stuff we talked about is in the link tree.
Love it. Thank you, Derek, for being a guest on this podcast, and I really appreciate you for coming all the way up here to let me pick your brain for a little bit.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This has been a fun experience, and we've had a great conversation. I hope that you guys have a wonderful day. Booty chasers,
booty
seekers, and cheek chasers of the world.
This is Derek Dimpfl and Nate De La Hoya-Reynoso.
Yeah, you keep grabbing life by the ass cheeks.
Thank you so much for listening to another episode of the Carpe Natem Podcast. If you love this episode, please consider leaving a positive rating and review on Apple Music or iTunes. It takes 30 seconds for you, but for us, it helps spread positivity to more people during these chaotic times. It helps build a community, and it makes me smile from ear to ear. Speaking of community, we have a Facebook group, www.facebook.com/groups/Carpe Natem. Just answer the 3 questions to get access to some extra motivation and inspiration for your timeline. Jesus. If you would like to support the podcast, screenshot this episode and share it to your story and tag me on Instagram at carpenatem114.com. That's going to be my handle across all platforms, including TikTok, if you would like to give me a follow. If you haven't already, please rate us and subscribe on Spotify or anywhere you enjoy your podcasts. And lastly, you can find all episodes, links to resources, and opportunities for coaching and mentoring from me at carpenatem114.com. I cannot thank you enough for spending part of your day with me. You are all rock stars taking the necessary steps to be your best self, willing to do whatever it takes, and ready to grab life by the butt cheeks. So until next time, this is Nate De La Hoya-Reynoso signing off.